Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to 66 Days of Data with KNIME. Today, number 28. Before we start, let's have a quick look at what we're going to learn. All right, so today will be a pretty short video. As always, if you want to download and follow along with me, you can have a look at my public space at the KNIME Hub. You see the address here. Just go to hub.knime.com/kowisoft, KOWISOFT, and there you find a folder called public space. And within that folder, you find another folder that's called 66 Days of Data. And that's where you will also find the workflow for day number 28. So now that we are close to the halfway mark, I would say let's have a look, head over to the computer. Today we are going to sort and to look at the top 20 list in just one node. And that sounds impossible to you? Yeah, well, it is basically possible. So let's just quickly head over to KNIME, to our task for today, and then I show you how we're going to do that. All right? So here we are at the data exploration in 66 days of data with KNIME. And what we're going to do is described in section number 6. Yes, we already covered importing data, descriptive statistics, histograms, date standardization, and the last section of the past few days was ungrouping and aggregations. And today we enter a new section, plots and charts, univariate analysis. Okay, so let's quickly jump there. So the plots and charts univariate analysis is all about visualizations. Let's build a composite view over the top 20 most prolific artists of all times. We mean of the whole data set. And here we have a little bit of preview of what we're probably going to build. And yeah, so let's start today in day number 28 using the output table of the first group by node, the aggregated artist track and popularity data. Select the top K equals 20, so the top 20 most prolific artists ever. That is, the ones with the highest track total count. Sort by track count and rename columns with meaningful names. Well, the latter part, I guess, we have already done last time when we were in day number 27, but let's just have a look. So let's quickly switch over to KNIME. So this is basically where we came from. We have our standard workflow here. We have the date standardization in this meta node. We have the import of additional artist CSV files here in this meta node, and then we joined the data together. And yesterday we did the great group by node using aggregation methods, and then we already did a column rename. And the part we're going to be working on is this upper part. So it's the list of artists grouped by artist for the number of songs, popularity, and the time they were active by finding out the first and the last release date. And if you have missed that one, make sure you go back to 27. You learn a lot about grouping, pivoting, and how to get rid of these nasty and redundant repetitive pivot tables doing in Excel. Let the machine do the work for you and create them automatically. All right, so you already see here in the notes repository, I did this in the preparation of this live stream. What you basically see here is the so-called top K selector, and you find it in the manipulation category, row subcategory, transform subcategory. There is the top K selector. So let me just quickly show you how to get there. You go into manipulation, row manipulation, transform, and here is the top K selector. And this also makes sense that we have it here because we're basically creating a top 20 list with top 20 rows. So how do we add it? Well, we select the last node we want to have in our workflow and just double click the top K selector here. That automatically adds it to our workflow. So what do we want to do? Well, first of all, we want to see the number of rows, and we want it not to be 5, but 20. So let's boost this up to 20. Then we want to see the top 20, meaning the most prolific artist. If we just go back here, select the top most prolific, the ones with the highest track count. The highest track count for me means we need to sort descending, right? The highest number on top, and then 20, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up until number 20. That would be the 20th highest number. But what do we would want to see? We want to see the number of tracks. That's what we want to basically sort by. And we could add additional sorting criterion here. For example, if some have the same name, we could sort by artist name, but let's just get rid of that. And let's just see how it looks. Maybe we just, before we execute, sort, what is the column name again? The column name is number of tracks. Sort top 20 number of tracks descending. All right. Like this, we execute. And we see we have only 20 rows. And now I want to show you something. We talked about this before a little bit. And now you see my personal flavor. Do you see what the most popular band in this reduced data set is? Of course it is Queen, because quite honestly, guys, Queen is the greatest band on this planet, right? So that's why they have the highest popularity here. And the one thing that I see that somehow did not work out, I guess, so I was expecting that it sorts by the number of tracks, but for some strange reason, it didn't do that. So let me just see what I did do wrong here. Let me just see. What did I do wrong? No settings were changed. So let's just have a quick look at the description. So, and that's, by the way, always a good thing you can do. If you are not sure why the result does not look like you expect it to be, in my expectation, I would have the highest number on top here in the first row. You can have a look at the description. And how you do that is basically you select the node, like this one here. The top K selector is now selected, and I just click this little icon here for the selection. And this node behaves the same as a combination of the sorter followed by row filter that only keeps the first K rows of the table except for the order of the rows, which depends on the output order settings. Note, however, that the implementation of this node is more efficient than the node combination above. Of course, yeah, it's just one node instead of two. In the dialog, select the columns according to which the data should be selected. For each column, you can also specify whether a larger or smaller value is considered as superior. Well, in our case, the larger value is considered superior. Settings. Okay, so specify rows. Returns the top K rows based on their first occurrence in the input table. Probably that's where I made it wrong. Returns all rows associated with the top K unique values. Let's just see if that's probably, oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me just see. Should I do it like this? Let's just see. Yeah, do not ask again. I'm not sure why this comes up. Still not sorted by the number of tracks, so probably no. But what do we have here? Output. Of course, I mean, quite honestly, Philip, maybe you look at all tabs of a node and not just at one. We want to have 20 rows here. That's absolutely what we want. So that determines if we want a top 10, top 20, top 5, top 50 list. But of course, we also have to set the output, right? So we want to sort the output. So I would assume if I execute it now, yes, that's how it looks exactly. The top 20 list. We have the most prolific artist here. and that is Lata Mangeshkar. He has released 2,605 tracks to our data set. Well, he's not very popular, I would say, compared to some other musicians, like, for example, the great band Queen. But I mean, how can anyone be as popular as Queen? But I digress. You also see some classic composers like Johann Sebastian Bach, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, of course, Ludwig van Beethoven. You also see the Vienna Philharmonics here. So interesting. Do we see anyone besides? So Billie Holiday is maybe one of the let's say more modern composers or artists here. Same is true for Frank Sinatra. I didn't expect Sinatra in here. I didn't know that he published 800 songs or 800 tracks. I mean, what we have to say does not mean he published 800 tracks himself. It means our data set contains 800 unique tracks of Frank Sinatra, right? But one thing that's also quite interesting to see is that although there are so many tracks for classical composers and classical artists, the popularity is pretty low. And that, my friends, probably tells you something about how biased this data set is. Because if you remember where it came from Spotify. I would assume it would be interesting to learn what the target audience of customers for Spotify is. I would assume it's rather in the younger range, so maybe up to mid-end 40s, something like this. Maybe I'm not sure what their age pyramid of Spotify target audience is, but that would be interesting. What I wanted to say here is, with younger people, classic music is maybe not so popular, and that's why they have such a low popularity rating here. So interesting to see. That basically solves today's task. So if you like these kind of videos where we do hands-on data science using the open source and free tool KNIME, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you want. It definitely helps the algorithm. It helps me to create more of these videos. So I see you tomorrow on day 29 of 66 days of data with KNIME. See you tomorrow, and bye-bye.